All right, folks, we have some major breaking news. As Donald Trump's fiscally irresponsible one big beautiful bill inches closer and closer to passing in the Senate, Elon Musk has not only renewed his war against Trump and the Republican Party, he's escalated. He is going full scorched earth, publicly declaring that he will primary every Republican lawmaker who supports this bill. His exact quote is, "And they will lose their primary next year if it is the last thing I do on this earth." Yikes. But before we unpack all that, if you end up liking this video and you want to support the channel, please be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and alert bells before you go. All right, folks, it's deja vu all over again. This is Elon Musk. He says every member of Congress who campaigned on reducing government spending and then immediately voted for the biggest debt increase in history should hang their head in shame. And they will lose their primary next year if it is the last thing I do on this earth. So that is the world's richest and craziest man publicly declaring that he will primary every Republican lawmaker who backed this bill. And it is the biggest single debt increase in history. And it is the most expensive budget bill in history. It is the very antithesis to fiscal responsibility as defined by conservatism. It is simply a fact that Donald Trump's Republican Party is betraying its fiscal responsibility principles to the extent it ever had any, which of course it didn't. He goes on a bunch of other rants as well. He says, it's obvious with the insane spending of this bill, which increases the debt ceiling by a record $5 trillion, that we live in a one-party country, the Porky Pig Party. Time for a new political party that actually cares about the people. If this insane spending bill passes, the America Party will be formed the next day. Our country needs an alternative to the Democrat-Republican uniparty so that the people can actually have a voice. The outgoing incumbent Republican senator from North Carolina, Tom Tillis, who not only voted against this bill, but announced that he will not be seeking re-election, thus jeopardizing not only Republican control of North Carolina, but ultimately Republican control of the Senate, he responded to Musk by saying, folks, at Elon Musk is 100% right, and he understands this issue better than anyone. We should take his warning seriously. We can't let communist China become the long-term winner. And this is in response to Musk's complaints about not just the expense of the bill, but the priorities of the bill, what it funds, and more critically, what it defunds. And then Elon Musk retweeted that post by Tom Tillis. Now, this is still a breaking news, so we're getting Republican reaction, but Igor Bobek, a journalist, reported the words of Joni Ernst, a Republican senator, one of the just most despicable in the Senate. She's not one of the most MAGA, but she's a traitor to her principles. This is the woman who said in response to Medicaid cuts of the one big beautiful bill, she's like, well, everybody's going to die one day. And then she doubled down on it sarcastically the next day. A vicious, cruel woman violating her principles. This is what she had to say about Musk's threat. According to Igor Bobek, Senator Ernst, chair of the Senate Doge Caucus, when asked about Elon Musk threatening primaries for ours who vote for debt slavery reconciliation bill, she says, quote, I really appreciate what Elon has done with our Doge work, and we're going to keep working on that with various rescissions packages. But at the end of the day, what we also don't want is a $4.3 trillion tax increase on American taxpayers. So right now, Musk's threats have not done anything to deter them. It seems, again, that it is proven that Donald Trump well and truly has his grip on the Republican Party. As Jake Sherman of Punchbowl News, speaking of the one big beautiful bill, the Senate bill is on the floor. Senate folks are saying that they aren't changing the bill appreciably. Mike Johnson, the Republican Speaker of the House, is still seeking major changes hours ahead of the final passage. Johnson apparently said to Punchbowl, quote, I have prevailed upon my Senate colleagues to please put it as close to the House product as possible. I've been very consistent about this from the beginning, because remember, the Senate version is different. There are substantive differences between the House and the Senate bill, and in order to get something to Trump's desk, it has to be identical. There has to be one version of the bill. So the House passed one version. The Senate looks like it's about to pass a different version. There has to go back to the House for reconciliation, and it's possible that Johnson won't be able to whip the votes, although I suspect that he will, because, again, Republicans who, bitch and moan and talk about fiscal responsibility, they fear Trump far more than violating their fiscal conservative principles. And so I suspect that they will fold like a napkin as they did before. It just might be a pain in the ass and take time to do. But the bill is on the floor as we speak. Refreshing for updates as well. Lisa Murkowski, moderate Republican from Alaska, who opposed the bill, but actually voted for it in the Senate because, effectively a bribe. They made a deal with her. Hey, listen, we're going to make some very specific carve-outs, some very generous specific carve-outs for Alaska alone. And she ultimately voted to allow the bill to proceed to debate. Now, the Senate parliamentarian said, hey, these things that you're offering, Senator Murkowski for Alaska, they won't make it. But Republicans want to override the parliamentarian in order to get Murkowski's vote, in order to let it pass the Senate, in order to hopefully get it to the House, and then ultimately to Trump's desk. But she was asked about this. Are you going to support the reconciliation bill? This is Igor Bobek. Murkowski says, you make me very weary with questions like that. What about the Alaska dollars that was axed by the parliamentarian? She says, quote, weary, weary, weary. So it seems that right now it's going to be difficult. It's going to be challenging. But the momentum is on the Republican side. Again, they violated their principles time and time again out of fear of Trump. So why would we believe that anything would change now? The other thing to consider is this. As Elon Musk, the world's richest and craziest man, threatens to primary Republican lawmakers who support this bill, he in turn was threatened by Trump about a month ago when he made a similar threat. NBC News reported in early June, Trump says Elon Musk will face, quote, very serious consequences if he funds Democratic candidates. In an interview with NBC News, Trump also said he assumes his relationship with the tech billionaire is over after their recent falling out. Now, let's remind exactly what Trump said. Donald Trump on Saturday said that there would be, quote, serious consequences if tech mogul Elon Musk funds Democratic candidates to run against Republicans who vote in favor of the GOP sweeping budget bill. Quote, if he does, he'll have to pay the consequences for that. Trump told NBC News in a phone interview, but declined to share what those consequences would be. Quote, he'll have to pay very serious consequences if he does that, he added. Trump said he has no desire to repair his relationship with Musk, yada, yada. But the bottom line is this. Donald Trump, the sitting president of the United States, is so censorious, so punitive, so authoritarian, he is once again taking the unprecedented step of publicly threatening a billionaire donor who wants to use his money in ways that that particular president doesn't like. Again, just imagine, let's wind the clock back. Imagine how Elon fans would feel, how Trump fans would feel, how MAGA Republicans would feel, how so-called, nonpartisan independents would feel if in 2024, President Biden threatened Elon Musk when Musk publicly endorsed Donald Trump. Biden was the sitting president. What if he threatened to use state power and the levers of government power to crush Elon Musk or force Musk to pay very serious consequences if he endorsed Trump or used his money to fund Trump? How would the right have reacted? They would have rightly been pissed and called Biden censorious and authoritarian and every other adjective. But of course, Biden, who is vastly morally superior to Donald Trump, as all elected Democrats are by far, he's morally inferior to all of them. That never crossed their mind. So Trump hasn't publicly responded, to my knowledge, to this most recent threat by Elon Musk, and maybe at this point he's not concerned. But when Musk threatened to do this before, about a month ago, Trump threatened him with consequences from the sitting president of the United States using power against a man whose wealth he was happy to accept. Oh, you can fund me and my team all you want. Yeah, green light, and you'll get rewarded for it. But if you dare use your money to fund people I don't like, which is perfectly permissible under law, then you will be crushed. It's 100% authoritarian. Again, the Republican Party is objectively far more authoritarian and censorious and anti-freedom than the Democratic Party on its worst day. But this is where we are. This bill is so atrocious on the merits that even Elon Musk, as crazy as he is, sees the writing on the wall and is sounding the alarm such that he's willing to tilt at windmills, such as forming a third party, which stands virtually no chance of going anywhere. But more importantly, now this might have an effect, threatening to use his wealth to primary Republican lawmakers who oppose this bill. And again, note the phrasing. And they will lose their primary next year if it is the last thing I do on this earth. Meaning if he keeps up this obsessive energy, he will dedicate everything, all of his obsessive wealth and influence, to crushing these people. To which I say, yes, please. And Democrats should do everything in their power to encourage it as much as possible. In the meantime, let me know what you think in the comments.